Hi, my name is Patrick, and I used to be known as this cripplingly shy kid in school. So shy that one day I peed on myself while I was waiting for a teacher to finish her class. But that's a story for another day. So my secondary school used to do this thing we call morning information. Every morning during our morning assembly, where a student will come in front of the whole school and speak about an educative topic of his or her choice for a minimum of 5 minutes without any prior written notes in hand. Obviously, I don't need to tell you that what students only did was to go and cram something that will last up to 5 minutes and then come in front of the whole school and spew it. The school was relatively young then, as in the most senior class was still in SS2, and it was run by Catholic Reverend Sisters, so you can understand that discipline was highly emphasized. The morning information was assigned to the different class sets through the days of the week, and Mondays were meant for SS2 students. Now, when it comes to which particular student that was chosen to give the information in our class, it was done in alphabetical order of our surnames in the class register. I was so upset with the system of selection, maybe because my surname is Anumudu, and at the beginning of each term, they start afresh in the register. This meant that it only needs to pass 3 or 4 names before it gets to my turn. Now, it wouldn't have been too annoying if everybody got their turns to stand in front of the whole school and talk about something they didn't even understand. It happened that we were 22 students in our class, and the term only has approximately 11 or 12 Mondays. This means that half of the students in the class never got to give the morning information, while I get to do it 3 whole times in a year. But I couldn't voice out my complaints because everyone seemed okay with the status quo, and I only joined the school in the first term of SS2. And yes, did I also mention that I was embarrassingly shy? Oh, okay. Yes, I did. And our class prefect who ticked off the students that had already done theirs was a girl. By now, you could be guessing that approaching and talking to girls would be difficult for me. And to that I say, you're absolutely correct. Talking to girls was super difficult for me. During my first term, I somehow managed to convince my friend to go talk to our class prefect to make an exception for me since I was a new student. But it was now second term, and there was no such excuse for me again. I had to do it. I had all weekend to practice and prepare for it. I decided to talk about a topic in the subject government. At first, I felt I was never going to be able to pull it off. But as I kept practicing, I gained more confidence. I reached a point where I felt like, hey, I can totally pull this thing off. So on that fateful Monday morning, I put on my neatly ironed white and navy blue uniform, together with my sandals, and set off to school, feeling all positive and confident. When I got to the school gate, I paused for a moment and took a deep breath. Then I walked through the gate, and that was where I started noticing things beginning to go wrong. First, I saw that the teacher assigned to organize the assembly and catch latecomers for the day was our economics teacher, Mr. Chukwujeku, better known as the Enforcer. He wasn't called the Enforcer for no reason. He doubles as our school's official disciplinarian. Rumor had it that he was forced to pay the medical bills for a student whom he tore his skin wide open with a koboko while flogging him. And this man was capable of flogging the whole school alone, no shaking. As I walked into the assembly ground, I noticed that our principal, Sister Dorcas, was standing right behind the students at the assembly ground, wearing a usual stern look on her face. She rarely did that. She usually stayed in her office while the morning assembly was going on. Why did my own case have to be different? By then, my positivity and confidence were already deserting me. I arrived at the assembly while the morning prayers was still going on. I remember praying to God for more confidence. But if only my prayers were answered, I wouldn't be telling this story. After the prayers came the national anthem. Then the school anthem followed. By then, my heart was already beating faster than a machine gun could shoot. It was mid-January and the Harmattan season was still in full swing, but I was sweating profusely. With the school anthem completed, I was called out by our school's social prefect, a girl in my class who happens to be the person conducting the assembly and my crush. Her name was Rebecca. I remember taking bold steps out from my class line to mask my stage fright within. But once I took the microphone from her and turned around to face the whole school, every ounce of boldness and confidence disappeared within me. The sight of the whole school with the principal standing behind crippled me, and all my weekend of preparation deserted me like birds would fly away from a tree at the sound of a gun. For a moment I said to myself, I can do this. What's the worst that could happen? They won't kill me. but this was my last sane attempt at reassuring myself. I managed to utter the greetings and say the subject and topic I was going to talk about. As I was hearing my own voice in the loudspeaker, I couldn't even recognize it, and I could feel my spirit leaving my body. Bye bye spirit. I couldn't even recall what my mouth was muttering into the microphone, but I knew that the speakers were saying something and my mouth was moving. Later my friends said that I was just repeating sovereignty can be defined as, sovereignty is, sovereignty can be defined as, sovereignty is. I stood there for almost 5 minutes completely blank, but it felt like a century, until my crush came to retrieve the mic from me and continue the assembly. When she took the mic, it felt like she rescued me just as I had given up fighting for air while drowning in a sea of eyes. Just as I was starting to make my way back in shame to the line and thinking to myself, I will never be able to approach anyone in this school again out of shame, I heard the principal's piercing voice shouting from the back, "Will you go back there and kneel down?" Only if I had the option to answer that question. So I walked back in front of the assembly and knelt down, backing the students. Again I heard, "Come on, face us!" Then I turned around facing the whole school. As if that wasn't enough for her, she shouted again, "Everybody shout, shame!" And the whole school responded, "Shame!" So here I was, kneeling in front of the whole school and beside my crush, while everybody was shouting the word shame at me. I literally felt like sinking into the ground. I just wanted the earth beneath me to open and swallow me. At that moment, I begged God to make me vanish from the surface of the earth, but none of my wishes materialized. I knelt down there until the last set of students marched into their class and the assembly was over. Only then did the principal ask me to go to my class. After that humiliating experience, I vowed to save my face by giving another morning information. This time I practiced public speaking for almost 2 months. And when I was sure that the whole school would be amazed at my newly acquired public speaking skill set, I approached our class prefect. By then I had also gotten comfortable with talking to girls. I asked her to reschedule me to give the next morning information. She was surprised at first and then kindly asked me if I was sure about what I was asking for. And I told her that she would be the first to start applauding me when I was through. Monday came and I gave my morning information effortlessly and impressively, to the amazement of the whole school, that I was given a standing ovation, though everybody was already standing. But my biggest regret was that the principal didn't get to witness it. She had traveled within that period, and that really pained me. This is our pilot video. If you enjoyed it, please support us by hitting the like button and subscribe. By the way, if something unusual and interesting happened to you, we can make a video about it as well. Send your stories to this email address on the screen.